This lighting is much better.
Is that Alex's house?
No, this is our my aunt and uncle.
Oh, where are
Ash's
you?
aunt and uncle in Henderson. We're not at our house yet. We move in next week.
Where's Henderson?
Henderson is in so west of the strip.
Yeah. Oh, it's in Vegas, like.
Yeah, west of the strip is Las Vegas.
Okay.
East of the strip is Henderson.
And is it
we're in Henderson.
City? Townsend?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a separate city.
City, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Literally never heard of that. That's so weird.
That's where Hackenbrook lives. Tommy lives here.
Is it just like the ugly sister that like nobody ever talks about because
nice.
Vegas?
Very nice. No, it's very nice. And then there's Boulder City, which is real close too, which is where everybody lived. They built the whole city just so they could build the Hoover Dam. So the city was built.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there's no gambling in Boulder City. But Henderson is nice, very nice. Yeah. It's where Camp Rhino is. Camp Rhino's in Henderson, where we train.
Yeah, it's so weird. Isn't that just mad though that there's a city right beside another city and people just literally never talk about it?
No one's talking about it. Yeah, no.
It's so weird.
All people talk about is the strip.
Yeah, the strip and strippers.
Yeah.
Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how tired are you?
11.
And what? I'm curious as right. There's loads of stuff I want to talk about the games.
Okay.
But just like I've talked to say athletes.
Are we
before.
on? Are we on yet?
Oh yes. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh good.
Live,
oh cool. All right. Cool.
Not live.
I didn't know.
No, we're not live, but I'm just recording.
Oh okay.
Yeah. So cool. No swearing. No, I'm joking. It's
I'm the wrong guy.
Yeah, that makes two of us.
I'm the wrong guy. Yeah.
When you're at the games, like when did you get to Madison? Like Monday, previous or before that?
Saturday.
Okay. And do you keep the routine as normal as possible? Say Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Like say for yourself.
Routine.
As in, like, do you try to get X amount of sleep? Do you try to like go do something in the morning? Like, do you try and keep the same thing, or is it like? Because I know if I go somewhere different, the wheels come off. Where I'm like,
wheels are completely off. Yeah, there's no routine, and then also I have a lot of obligations media wise, and then we Underdogs we took over. We were one of the camps that the tier did this thing, and the tier takeover at CrossFit Connex, and we took over one of the days and coached classes all day, and then they were following Ricky. CrossFit Media, like from Miles to Madison, was following Ricky. So I had to do interviews prior. They were following us the entire time. I had interviews after. Like it was just a lot of stuff,
and when the games is on, then so say Wednesday. Or say Tuesday night, I suppose. Are you up till like 4 o'clock with Kiefer and whoever else going through like, oh, what do we do for this person and what should this person do? Or is it just like, right, go to bed, get up the next morning and be like, right, go do your job, and then, or is every night like, are you burning the candle at both ends, or are you just relaxed? Not relaxed, but
what's great about the games, they don't release the events early, so like you don't have to worry as much, like semifinals is much more stressful as far as preparation for each event because you have considerably more strategy going into semis. The games, you know what I mean? We found out that bike event essentially like day before, night before, or maybe even in the morning. I don't remember, but Capital was the only one they released. We knew the Capital. That was it, and not much strategy in the Capital. I mean, that event was just guts, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think the most stressful part is just trying to get to bed, knowing you have a briefing at 7 a.m. and that you have to get up, at 6. And so, and then, I never really sleep well during these things, and I can't eat for the majority of the time, just my nerves. And so it's funny because Ash will text people and be like, hey, just try to make sure that Justin eats something, and then Kiefer's hilarious because we have this like Underdogs coaches texting, Kiefer's texting people, hey, just text Justin randomly during the day and remind him to eat. Because I just literally all I do is drink coffee for a week, so I have to remember to drink water too.
Is he a bit of a dad, a bit of a daddy in the camp, like a bit of a minder?
Kiefer?
Yeah.
He's just more like,
mellow.
And I'm,
yeah.
I mean, I get emotional and I get kooky, so it's good. It's good though. It's good to have him. And, he was extremely helpful this week. Benny was extremely helpful this week. It was great. It was very, very challenging at moments. With having multiple individuals, it's a challenge. Just the schedule sucks, you want to be with one and you got to get the other one ready and this and that. So sometimes it was like, okay, Kiefer, warm up Alex, I'll be with Ricky but having Benny there was huge. The games it's just a lot. It's a lot of moving parts. It's actually amazing to think that they can get the whole thing done. Like you think about the it's just the gravity of it all. It's just this massive thing, and all the moving parts of all the different divisions and all the volunteers and all the judges and all the everything, all the planning, everything that goes into it. It's a gargantuan event, really, and it's really impressive. I thought they did a hell of a job, to be honest.
How did you feel? Because I know, say, in previous years you've had some what would you call it? Some comments or concerns about how coaches are treated in CrossFit. Was that any different this year? Was it the same?
It was by far the best it's been.
Okay, what was different?
By far. Well, first they got rid of that fucking stupid, spectators with limited access bullshit. That they didn't say that, so that at least that was more respectful. I always thought that was the most disrespectful thing. Yeah. Every year you come and in like all caps in the email that you get, just remember you are spectators with limited access. It was just like basically just remember, fuck you. Like that's what I felt like every time. You know what I mean? And they didn't say that, and I felt like there was this just so much more respect there, between us and the staff, between us and Justin, between us and Boz, between us and Chuck, like just us and Curtis. It was very in other games. It has felt. Like it was an adversarial relationship, and this was considerably more, amicable, and I think they understand that's better for the athletes. It makes it better when the coaches have more access. A couple things that they can still do better for sure. I mean, we have nowhere to watch our athletes in North Park. The fact that coaches don't get Coliseum tickets, I think sucks. The fact that, that we only get to watch our athletes during their event, then we have to go back downstairs and we can't go into the Coliseum. We have to buy a ticket. Like that's, I'm not a big fan of that. But in general, like access to the warm-up areas, access to now North Park, access to Coliseum, warm-ups. I felt like it was much better. They let us walk with our athletes. They let us walk back with the athletes. Much, much better situations. By far the best the coaches were treated. I hope it continues to get better, but, kudos to them. I felt like we were respected considerably more than we have been in the past.
Who's Benny that you mentioned there about helping out?
Benny Garard.
Oh, yeah,
Ricky's
okay.
brother.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I'm following now.
Yeah.
Because even you think in North Park, if they, obviously it's a sacrifice, but if they even cut out a segment of the media pit, like a coach's area, like a
100%.
technical area in football or something, if they just had a little.
Just give us a little section in the media pit, 100%. Yeah. It'd be super easy. They could cut out a little section. That's all they'd have to do. It's not that hard.
Yeah. What did you think of the programming?
This was pretty good. Honestly, I thought it was a couple things that were kitschy, you know, a couple gimmicky things, you know, that but I don't think they would have necessarily been gimmicky had they released, you know, even if they released them 2 weeks before, you know, 2 weeks before or 3 weeks before, released the crossover thing, you know, maybe released the handstand push up thing a week before, 2 weeks before. I didn't love the standard on the handstand push-up. It was just kind of like you were going to midair. It was very subjective. It was hard to judge. I hate when they make it hard for movements to judge. Make it easy for the judges. Don't make it more difficult for the judges. So I didn't love that.
What did you make of the rope climb being taken out?
Oh man, what a changed the whole complexion of the CrossFit Games. In both sides, no question about it. You would have seen the same three guys would have finished on the podium. I don't think there's any question. I think the same three girls would have finished on the podium, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, Laura's a great upper body puller, but she's also a bigger athlete. Do you know what the standard was? Did you hear what the standard was on the rope climb? No. So it was a legless rope climb from a seated position to the top of the Zeus, which is like 18 feet, and then legless descent.
They did that in Filthy, didn't they? Like
well, you had to do, but in Filthy it was
just standing,
unbroken rope climb. So you were able to climb it, legless descent, climb it again.
Yeah.
This was from a seated position, legless down, and you had to do that two of them every round.
Yeah.
It would have changed the whole workout. Whole workout changes.
Yeah, there'd be a lot more people not finishing.
I think that took the wind out of our sails. That was a crusher for Ricky.
But it's interesting as well because in the other one, you know, when they postponed, obviously they couldn't postpone again, I suppose. But when they postponed the jerks, Boz was on Savant's show and he said that they toyed with changing it to strict press or changing it to deadlift because it would be a leg. You know, he was like, neither sat perfectly, but like both were considered of like, okay, we could still run it, and if it's wet, we could do deadlifts because it'll fatigue legs and that kind of stuff. And he was like, neither really sat perfectly, but it's interesting that they toyed with replacing something, and then when it came to the rope climb one, they just said, no, just cut it out. I thought it was weird that they didn't put something in.
Well, when they briefed us, they said we're doing rope climbs in the rain. They said, you know, and all the athletes were like, cool, that's the way it should be. And then when it was cut out, there was a lot of disappointed people. You could see a lot of disappointed athletes.
Yeah, I got a text from one coach saying you should see what's happening behind the scenes. He didn't elaborate on it.
Yeah, people were freaking out. And listen, here's the thing. That whole final day, there's a flow to it. There's a reason why you program things.
But even just the week, rope climbs not in the week then changes the test, crazy. The overall test.
Absolutely, yeah. I still think you got your fittest three men and fittest three women. I still think Justin would have won. I think you might have seen a flip-flop, possibly with Roman and Ricky, because I just think Ricky's so – I mean, if you watch the strict pegboard, Ricky was visibly faster than everyone. It was crazy how good he was. And then that strict legless is the closest thing to that. I mean, he's, you know what I mean? It would have been a huge advantage for him. I think he might have won that workout. He would have definitely lost to those guys on the next one just because his deadlift is not great. So that would have been challenging. Now, but the energy that it gives you to win a workout or to beat the other two guys, it fuels you. You know what I mean? And then the last workout, he knew he was coming in third, so he just kind of mailed that one in. He was like, I got a 140-point lead on fourth. Roman's up on me by 30 in a rowing workout. I'm not going to beat Roman by 8 spots in a rowing workout. That's not going to happen. So he just kind of, you know, but yeah, that was a change that changed the complexion of the games, especially for like a Haley and a Christy Aramo and those type of athletes that got crushed on that workout just because it was just sleds and kettlebell clean and jerks.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of tend to pay attention when someone like Christy Aramo says something because it's like she never says anything. So the fact that she came out and said that she was frustrated by it. I was like, that's like her coming out and saying, I was frustrated by this, is like someone else standing on top of a building and shouting, fuck you. You know, it's like,
she was very unhappy.
yeah.
Yeah. I felt that
Um,
too. Yeah.
the rest of it though, like I thought the sandbag was so clever. Like I thought it gets rid of like the specialist. It gets rid of like the, you know, okay, Guy did really well in it regardless, but like if it was a barbell workout, you were absolutely guaranteed he was going to win it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas at the sandbag, you're kind of like, oh, well, that raises some questions, and
He
you
had
know
to
the
figure it
same.
out. He
Yeah,
had to figure it out.
it's just tricky. It's trickier than like it's not as much. It's not as much of a gimme, and it's more. I think the last, what was it, last year when they did the snatch, like there was excitement with Annie's lift. There was like horrendous kind of excitement with Brooke's lift. But like other than that, there's a lot of kind of just waiting and sitting and watch. You know, like not there's prolonged periods of nothing happening. Whereas I thought the sandbag was a lot more like, I don't know, it was just visually pleasing, like for a
So when
longer period of
that
time.
event started, I think all of us looked at each other and we were like, "Oh my god, this is fucking dumb." And honestly, when it started, we were like, "This is terrible." And even Ash texted me, "This is really dumb," at the beginning. And then all of a sudden, I totally changed my mind. I was like, "We're dead wrong. This was awesome." And I'll tell you why it was awesome. It was awesome because those athletes had never touched bags close to that size, right? They lift heavy barbells all the time. And what I loved about it was they threw this unknown kind of, this unknown movement at them, and they were able to adapt and they were able to achieve these. Just, it was unbelievable what they did. These there's a strong men who are 350, 400 pounds who struggle lifting those bags that you saw those guys lift. And on the women's side, Jackie Dahlstrom lifting a bag that was 240 pounds. I mean, it was remarkable. I felt like it was like the one event where, you might see a strong man who's like, oh, fucking CrossFitters are pussies. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden they watched that event and they were like, holy shit, these guys are savages. You know what I mean? It was that event that, to me, again, it was like, I always say that the CrossFit Games is superhumans that make really hard things look very commonplace. Well, there you go. They were able to do something there that stretched them, and it really showed, how absolutely incredible these athletes are to be able to adapt to something that they rarely ever do. I mean, the only one that you could tell obviously practices strongman all the time is Medeiros, right? Like you could tell, his technique was great, and he was kind of the same from start to finish. But the rest of them just kind of figured it out as they went along, and it was pure, adrenaline and guts and will and athletic ability and strength all poured into one. I mean, Ricky, the majority of the athletes were struggling with on the men's side was struggling with the 260 bag in the backstage. I was positive everyone was going to be out by 300. I don't think there was one person was going to get above 300. It was crazy.
The other cool thing, I thought there was a lot of things I enjoyed, but I thought the other cool thing was forcing everyone to finish capital, like no time. It's because like it'd be very easy for someone to be like, do you know what? Fuck it. 100 points. I can make that up somewhere else. I'll be fresher. I just kind of like, oh shit, I can't lift the bag. Sorry. Like, and the time cap is up.
I felt like there were two, every games you pick out one or two like iconic moments or iconic events. And I felt like Capital and the Sandbag, those two events are two we'll talk about 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, where we're like, okay, those are two of the best events that we've ever seen at the CrossFit Games. You go back to some of the other ones in the past, like Atalanta, obviously, is one of them. I mean, there are others, but I feel like from these games, the Capital and the Sandbag are the two where you can say, wow, those were freaking awesome.
Did you see the video that Savant's show put out about JR predicting like
amazing
7 things?
Sick.
Like,
so cool.
I mean, it's madness for anyone that hasn't seen it. So there's like clips. It's obviously pieced together, and there's other things he said that didn't come up. but a huge amount of really specific things. Like he was like,
Yeah.
biking has been on main site for the last couple of months. I reckon there's going to be some cycling in it. He said that we haven't seen a pivot in a handstand, and we haven't seen an L-sit press to a handstand. Both those things came up. Biking came up. He was like, heavy lift, but it probably won't be a barbell. Wouldn't be surprised if it was a sandbag. It was just like, fucking hell. Like, he really just nailed so much of it. When you see stuff like that, when you see someone doing that, is that like, is it wasted time to be trying to think? Like, will you look at, say, the games now this year, knowing that Boz is doing next year, and think, okay, like, he's big into this. Now we know that we need to start working for this. Will you keep an eye on his Instagram? Have you got someone that's like keeping an eye on main site, seeing what's coming up there? Because there are like little clues dotted around. Or is that a slippery slope into like, oh, this is definitely going to come up, and then it doesn't, and you're fucked?
Right. I don't think there's any doubt. You pay attention. You got to pay attention to main site. You got to pay attention to Boz's Instagram. Even little clues throughout the year of anything that you're seeing people doing in videos. Especially like CrossFit main site or IG. But yeah, I think. Listen, I think he stretched things a bit. I think. You look at the programming and he brought back some things that we hadn't seen in a long time, which was cool. And I mean, listen, I think at the end of the day, that there wasn't anything there that I look at and I was like, wow, that was bullshit. You know what I mean? The one thing that I wish that they had at least dropped a hint on was the crossover dubs, just because I think it would have been cool to kind of see what that would have looked like with all the athletes being able to practice it. But in general, man, I thought it was really cool. I thought the programming was good. There wasn't I wish, obviously I was disappointed with the legless, but is what it is. That was a weather thing, and I'm sure it was a security thing or a safety thing, excuse me. But still though, like if you talk to the athletes, they were like, I don't care, a wet rope. We want to do it. You know what I mean? The majority wanted to do it. So.
All right. We'll go through. So for the first person I want to talk about, so one of your athletes won all of their events and got 800 points out of a possible 800 points and came first. So I think that's only been done. That's only the second time that's been done. So Casey Finney, he won all his events, like pretty comfortably, most of them anyway. Like, what's it like having someone that's, because obviously, like, we live in this kind of era where, like, dominance is expected, and it's like, like that. If you're not winning everything, you're losing, or if if you're not first, you're last. But like, he's just fucking ridiculous. Like,
it's ridiculous. Like, yeah, I mean, he's the most dominant, right? I mean, now he's, yeah. I always say he's the most impressive athlete in CrossFit. T is the best, but Casey's the most impressive.
But even when you see the adaptations, like the adaptations that he is making, or that's made on his side of the sport, because you're kind of like, you're looking at the movements and being like, sure, how can they do that? And then you're like, oh, okay. It's just like,
he's a freak, man. He's incredible.
Crazy.
Yeah, and he's such a good dude, and I was just great I was so happy for him.
And he's a coach with you as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's one of our coaches, and he writes our adaptive program. He coaches a bunch of individuals for us. He's great. He's just a great kid, great guy.
Does he program for himself then?
Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking it can't be easy to.
He'll adapt some of the stuff from our elite, and then take it and then kind of do what he needs to do. But yeah, he's remarkable. Yeah, that was awesome. I'm so happy for him. I'm also happy he made a nice chunk of change. So that was good.
Yeah, and he seems nice too. Like, he seems
awesome.
Like I messaged him and he replied within 5 minutes. Like, he seems. That's my marker of a person.
There you go.
Did they reply after they saw it, or did they just leave it sitting there? So your other, I guess, two, like, highlight athletes or most commonly known athletes. I know you had athletes in the age groups and stuff as well. So Ricky,
Mhm.
We'll talk about him a bit first. So third place, we kind of touched on this, I guess, on Friday, but maybe some people mightn't have seen it. But I was just curious, like when, because obviously, like at Wadapalooza, he didn't get to do anything. At Dubai, he competed, and there was like, I guess, like some people were, when something's expected, like someone's like coming back, and you're like, oh, here we go, like, and then I think some people maybe unreasonably were left a bit underwhelmed after Dubai. They were kind of like, oh, okay, like, he didn't win, he didn't like dominate, or he didn't, again, we're living in that era of, what do you mean you didn't win? Like, that's
Yeah.
the and then
Look at that
semifinals.
field, though. I mean,
I know, yeah,
wow,
no,
Jesus,
I'm
that field was
yeah,
ridiculous. And Roman came in first, Lazar came in second, Riki came in third, Jeff Adler came in fourth. I mean, there's 4 guys in the top 10.
yeah,
2
and
guys on the podium. I mean,
and then
that field turned out to be the best field in
any of them, yeah,
anywhere.
really.
Yeah,
And then semifinals, I guess he was like understandably nervous, and it kind of seemed like at each of Dubai he was kind of okay, but at each of them there was something up, there was something, and I think
yeah.
people were kind of questioning, like, oh geez, does he have it? Like, is this like,
Oh, he has it.
but when he was
Yeah.
when he was in third, when he finished and was standing on the podium and had his flag and had his like little belt and whatever, um are you like looking at it being like, yeah, that's like, this is the minimum of what I thought was going to happen? Or are you like, oh shit, we actually did it? Like, this is, like, where do you land on it?
I thought there were 10 guys that could finish pretty much anywhere in the top 10. And then after watching the weekend, I think that the 3 guys who were the most dominant finished on the podium. I don't think there's a doubt. I mean, Ricky, Roman, and Justin were head and shoulders above the rest of the field this past weekend. Ricky really dominated the first half of the games, and then ran into that handstand push-up workout, which really, I think, took a lot of energy out of him. The momentum, and he was never able to really regain, the momentum. He managed a lot of his weaknesses really well after that, because swimming is not a strength. The dumbbell squat snatches is a weakness. And he came 12th in that workout. And I would say that that's exceeding expectations for that. But the workout, not having that legless workout hurt him. And I think his body on the final day, the night after the sandbags, was pretty beat up. He was having a hard time. He just kept saying, man, my mind is telling me to do things here, and my body's not responding the way that I want it to. Mm-hmm. And then Justin and Roman are phenomenal. It was a heavyweight battle. I think it's the best we've seen on the men's side in a while. And what excites me about it is I think you could see that for the next few years. I think you could see Ricky, Roman, and Justin giving each other a real fight every time that you see them. I will say this: I'm ecstatic. Obviously, I think it's an incredible story. The guy hasn't competed at the games in 5 years. I mean, it's unbelievable if you think about it. But I'll tell you, I know he's happy, but he's not satisfied.
Yeah, like even in the moment, he was like you could see him like looking at first place, like when he's standing on the podium. Like you could see that he wasn't like, smiling, waving to the crowd. Like when the medals were being presented, there was a tinge of like, fuck. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. Then you got to, and he's not, he's very happy, but he's not satisfied. And but I'm unbelievably proud and incredibly happy with this season. It's a great season, right? Like you can't, how do you podium at the CrossFit Games and you can't be unhappy. It's just, when he was up by 80 something points at one point, people thought he was going to run away with it.
Is that like when he puts on the white t-shirt, the leader's jersey and the red shorts and stuff? Like, it really fucking paints a target on your back because you're noticeable across the field. Like, you don't even need to look. Like, if everyone's in gray, you're kind of like, oh, where's Justin? And you're kind of trying to find, whereas it's like, you can see it out your peripheral vision pretty easily, which is, as I assume, part of the design to put a target on the leader's back.
It looks really fucking cool. It was funny, man. People were shocked.
Does that put pressure though? Like, is he like, oh fuck, this is heavy wearing this, or is it like, does it give energy to have it?
Yes, gave
Okay.
energy to him for sure. Yeah, yeah. And I also think what it did was it gave energy to him and it took energy away from other people. Like you could see people like each event, people are like, oh shit, like fuck, he's really good. Like we didn't realize he was this good, you know. And
But
it's
then
funny.
conversely, does it take energy away then when he loses it?
I think so. I don't think there's any question. Yeah, I think it did. I think that was. I think it was
Is that
warranted.
something then when you think of 2023? Is that something, that side of things, something that you think you'd need to work on, of like
Yeah.
not letting, okay, yeah, it's great that you can take energy from something, but not letting the opposite happen if it doesn't happen
100%.
there.
Yeah, you have to just eat. And also, I think what's great about this is just being put through this many tests. It really highlights, the things that you say, okay, for next season, we're gonna improve on these things, and really focus on these specific things.
Yeah.
Because he's just so gritty. He has the genetic makeup, like the things you need to win the games, as far as like the grit and the resiliency and the fight and like the when the lights go on, being a gamer. Like some people, when the lights go on, they go the opposite direction. Like when the lights go on for him, he performs better. You know, that's why I think like you'll see him. Like you see him in practice sometimes, and it's like. I mean, he's good. You know what I mean? Like he's good, but he's not like destroying people in the gym. He lost a couple workouts. To carry coming into the games. Carry and like other people and stuff. But then the lights go on and he's in the middle of a competition and you're just like, holy shit. He's got that thing that you need. But yeah, he's really good. And beyond that, man, he's just a good dude. Like, he's just a great dude. It's so great. I'm so happy that so many people got a chance to, who got a chance to hang out with him, in Vegas and then at the games. And just a lot of people come up to me and be like, man, fucking Ricky's awesome. I'm like, yeah, I know. I know he is. He's great.
Were you worried for him going? Like, were you worried about a reaction from the crowd or about any of that kind of stuff?
They were pretty cool, I felt like.
But say like before you went, were you like, like what if people don't like him, or what if people boo, or what if people are cross or angry?
I felt like we might hear a little bit, but I felt for the most part he would get support, and I think he did, yeah, and I think he got it more and more as the week went on, and I think he gained a ton of respect from people, and I hope now moving forward people can just we just talk about him being an athlete, not about the other shit.
Yeah, it's funny though, because I think like watching, say, the live stream or watching the events, you kind of, I found myself anyway, like looking for things. I was like, oh, was he slighted there by that person? Like, oh, did that person not talk to him? That kind of way. But then when you see after the games is over and he's on a night out with like heaps and they're all, like, then you're kind of like, okay, he's obviously been accepted fully back in, or he wouldn't be there. He'd be off on his own somewhere,
Yeah. I mean, I don't. I mean, the only thing you could feel was him and Justin. There was, but I think it was, they just want to win. They want to
they're
beat
both
each other's ass.
challenging each other. Yeah, it's not like,
Yeah.
I feel like because Justin's so nice and happy and jovial all the time, I think when you see him in a competitive setting, you're like, who the fuck is this guy? And then
he's a lot different than he used to be.
Yeah.
2 years ago, like when we were in the bubble, he was a lot more jovial, and now he's kind of taken on that, like, doesn't smile, doesn't talk to you during the week, like the whole night.
Wow, really?
He's fine. Oh yeah. No, there was not a lot of pleasantries. And then after he was fine, but yeah, during it,
Just blinkers on,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Is there a lot of that, like from other people as well, or is it?
No, he was really the only one I saw doing that.
Hmm.
Most of the other guys were pretty friendly, and even on the women's side too, pretty friendly. He was definitely the one who kind of separated himself from the crew the most. That's fine. I mean, he won. What are you going to do? It worked.
Yeah. Is there anything that you didn't know about Ricky before, say, last Wednesday that you know now?
It was nice to meet his family. I met his parents. That was cool. but nothing that not so much that I didn't know. Other than I've exceeded my expectations for like how gutsy he is, because there were some movements, like there were some events that I was like, yeah, it's probably not going to go that great, and then it did, and I was like, holy shit! Like that jerk event, like the run into the jerks, it was just like it's not a great movement for him, and he came third, I think, or second or third in that, and I was just like, geez, this guy's just.
But even especially when you see people like Pat, like just stumble on that, you're like it makes it clear how easy a workout it is to fuck it up, like to just not
crazy.
have it, and you had the dips the day before, and like it's tricky.
He's really good, man. That's I think he's got a shot over the next couple of years to win it. I think he's got a shot. He's got to get better at some things. I would say of the three guys at the top, he's the most flawed athlete. Like he's the most flawed. He's probably got the most things to work on, which to me is the coolest part of it. Because he has the home runs and he's going to have those every year. He's just incredible on a bike. He's gutsy as hell. He's incredible at ring muscle ups. He's a great athlete. He can run his ass off in any running event. He's going to come in the top 5. You know what I mean? If he doesn't win it, he can go long. He can do the brutal events. He's really good at weird shit like the pirouettes. He was awesome. Pegboard. He's awesome. The handstand obstacle, he's awesome. Like there's things that, he just picks things up really fast. So if we keep him healthy, he's 28, if we keep him healthy, we're smart with him and we work on some of his positions on a few things. I think he can get better. I think he can definitely be there the next couple of years and challenge to win for sure.
Speaking of the next few years then, so Alex was a rookie year this year. And I was curious, like I've mentioned there, that era of success a couple of times, and like CrossFit is kind of a sport of success where you just have this dominance of like say Rich, and then you have like Tia, and then like Matt, and now like Justin seems to be trying to head that way anyway, and you've got 2 in a row anyway. And then you have these kind of say like 5-6 names that are synonymous with like top 3, top 4 finishes or whatever. When Alex or a new athlete is coming in, do you have to manage expectation? Like, do you have to say like, okay, success, like the ultimate goal is to win the games, but that can't be the goal for everyone. Do you know what I mean? It can't, like, I'm sure not. If you ask every athlete that's there, they might say like, oh yeah, I want to win the games. But I mean, if you really dig deep, it's like, oh yeah, I mean, like maybe top 35 might be pretty good. Like when you really dig in, like, do you have those conversations? Do you sit down with say someone like Alex and be like, look, it's your first year, hopefully we'll avoid the cut. Hopefully we'll like, this should be a good workout for you. That should be a good workout for you. Here's a chance for you to shine in that thing you've been practicing. This one's going to suck and you just have to suck it up or whatever. Are they the kind of conversations you have, or do you just say first year, fuck it, see what happens and then talk about it afterwards?
Our goal was to make the cut for sure. And then do exactly what you said, which was essentially like hit the home runs where you can, because there are events you can hit home runs on, manage the ones that we have to manage. And let's just learn a shit ton, she would come off the field after every event essentially. And it was just like, okay, add that one to the list, add that to the list. These are things we got to do. Add it to the list. I mean, 24th in her first games, just phenomenal. I thought it was phenomenal. I mean, Carrie finished 20th in her first games. So, and that's kind of Alex's mentor in a sense. Alex has home runs. She has things that she's already really, really good at. She would have come top 5 in that legless workout. So that was one of those that I would have loved to have seen. But I thought she did extremely well. And I think that she has so much like potential for growth. The trajectory for her, I think over the next few years is really high and can go like this. She's nowhere near maxed out as an athlete. There's so many things, like we can go back and watch the film, watch the events, and she'll look at herself and be like, why am I moving so slowly? I thought I was moving fast. And it's like, she doesn't have the urgency yet. There's sort of like, you watch some people and you're just like, man, they don't give up a second, and there, like, for instance, there was that clean dip event, right? She was very good at, you know, those movements should be good at. And then she's going to watch herself back. She's going to watch herself walking from the parallel bars, or, you know, to back to to the barbell. And you can't do that. I mean, you just can't do it. There's no reason for it. So it's just, 95-pound clean. You go back and at least you start doing singles. You can, so she give up 20 seconds, 25 seconds, and you lose 5 spots, 6 spots, 7 spots. And she did that consistently throughout the weekend. And those are things that we're going to be able to fix. And she's just going to keep getting better and better. I thought her attitude was great. I thought she did really, really well. She didn't make very many mistakes. There was 1 or 2 where you look back, you're like, man, that was just a mistake. You could have done much better there. But in general, it was more about, like, this is where you are right now. Like, I feel like, I felt like she was probably going to be somewhere in that 18 to 25 range, 18th to 25th, depending on, what came out. And are you laughing about Ash in the background?
Yeah. She's just desperate to be on this show. Fucking hell.
You say you're making all that noise on purpose because you're desperate to be on the show.
Someday when you want an entertaining show, let me know and I'll come on.
The interesting thing about Alex, I think, is one, she's young, right? So she's got a lot of time ahead of her. She's like hitting PBs before the games, like that's pretty fucking good. So she's obviously got a lot of room still to go. She's very well put together, like mentally, from what I talked to her for about an hour and a half, and she was very considered in everything she said. She was very, like, I guess, like, careful without being boring. She was like, she was interesting. She was confident answering questions. She, like, in the middle of the interview, her phone died. She was just fine. She wasn't frazzled by it. She wasn't like, oh shit. Like, she just was like, oh, I don't know what happened. My phone died. She's just calm and collected. And she's very settled. Like, she's married. She's like got family around her. She's got, like, as in literal family with them. And then she's got you guys. Like, she seems very, like, mellow and very, like, a still lake kind of thing. I'm guessing there's a bit of a duck, like, as in, like, calm on the top, and underneath the legs are going crazy. Like, she's obviously putting in a lot of work and stuff. But, like, for someone her age, she seems very just, like, confident and, like, chill.
I think it has to do with her background. I think it has to do with the fact that, like, she's been through so much shit, that this is kind of like, whatever, man. This is just fun, I think she's, she's very simple in this. And I don't mean, and I mean that as a compliment, in the sense that, like,
you don't mean simple, like stupid.
She doesn't need, like, a lot of extravagance in her life. She's just, like, she likes what she likes, she likes, she likes her she's her husband and the people that are around her. She loves training. She's very happy. She's like a happy person.
Her agent seems similar as well. I've chatted to him a little bit. He seems very, like, people first, and, like, that's what you want to hear, really, I guess.
She's a good person. She's a great person, and I think she just has to make the choice. What does she want? What does she want out of the sport, like, out of her career? She want to try to go for top 10, top 5? Like, is that something she wants to do? Because that's different. That's different than just making it to the CrossFit Games, right? Like, it's different than just, like, I want to make the CrossFit Games, like, perennially, but I'll make my money from social media and sponsorship and shit. Like, I think when you want to be really, really, really good, like the best, you want to be considered with the best, there's not a lot of balance there. Everything is geared towards being all in. But what I think is cool is, like, I can have that conversation with her, but I can have that conversation with her and I can say, hey, like if you really want this, like you want to know what you have to do, here's Carrie Pierce. Carrie will come and talk to you for the next hour and explain to you what that means, you know? And it's great because like there's somebody right there who can say, oh yeah, here's this. And you know, like that day when you're tired and you wake up and you're like, fuck, I don't want to go do this. Yeah, that's when you have to do it, because there's 90% of the other people are gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna do it that day, you know? Or the time when you're like, oh, I'm going to just go out with my friends, not a big deal, you know, instead of like, you know, sticking to my macros and getting that sleep. No, like you don't do that. That's what it takes. So it's just a matter of, you know, her figuring out if that's what she wants, you know, because I don't want to push somebody to do it if they don't want it, you know.
Would it excite you less if you were working with someone who was like, top 20 is fine? Would you be like, oh, okay, that's disappointing?
Yeah, it would, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, but I think but I'd rather them be honest, you know, and if they were like, hey,
what if someone came and said, like, say, I don't know. What if someone came and said, I want to be the best. Like, I want a podium for the next like 5 years, or be as close as humanly possible to doing it. Like, put myself in a position to do it. And you were looking at them being like, there's no fucking way. Like, you know, like, even just, do you say like, yeah, you know, what about just making it to the game? Like, how do you temper their expectations without just ruining them altogether?
I think you have to be realistic. It's part of our jobs to be like, hey, you know, that's cool. Like I want to too, you know, but sometimes like you know, you have to be realistic about, you know, your expectations. Most people are realistic, you know. We don't get a lot of that. You get some people like, I want to win the CrossFit Games. Well, that's, of course you want to win the CrossFit Games. Who doesn't want to win the CrossFit Games? But that's not, it's generally not realistic for most people.
It's funny as well, because you say that, well, I want to do that too. I was actually very impressed with your ring muscle-ups you put up on, I don't know whether you're on the Underdog story or your own story there the other week. That was very impressive. Not that I didn't think
I
you
don't
had
know
it
why
in
that's
you.
so impressive.
I know, you just assume when you look, and I know I've seen Shane doing some stuff too, and I'm like, fucking hell, he can move. But like, you just assume,
athlete back in the day.
you assume when people are coaching that it doesn't leave a lot of time for other stuff. Do you know what I mean? You just assume that other stuff slips away, especially you got your family, you've got like the business stuff. You kind of, I don't know, I suppose I assumed, I don't know, you just gone to shite altogether. Obviously, that's wrong.
No, I mean, listen, you know, it's very different than it used to be, but yeah, I mean, for the majority of my life, I've been, you know, pretty solid athlete, and I love sports. And
Wouldn't it be great to do a run at Masters as a coach, like to have an athlete on the podium and then to be in?
Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. These old knees, no way, man. Not too many basketball injuries, unfortunately.
When does prep for 2023 start then? Like, how long do you wait? Like, do you tell everyone, right, go away there for a month, or have you got, say, the athletes that didn't go, are you already kicking off with them?
Yeah, they're already back. So Matt, Christine Best, you know, who else? Kyra, Roth, Allie's gonna take a break now. Alex take a break. Ricky take a break. You know, we got a couple athletes from Australia that I work with that are you know, started back. So for those that didn't make the games, those people have started back. Other than Allie, because Allie just did demo team and kind of did Atlas into demo. She needs a break. Ricky and Alex, I mean, it's essentially, I just tell them, hey, when you're ready, it's just let me know. You know, I don't care if they take a month. It doesn't bother me. Anytime.
Would you get itchy if you hadn't heard from them by the end of September?
Yeah, but I know that wouldn't be the case. You're kidding me? They're CrossFitters, man. They can't do that shit. They're gonna take a week off, and
they'll text you tomorrow.
Yeah, they're gonna text me next week and be like, "Okay," I'm gonna be like, "No, that's not long enough. No fucking way. No chance."
I saw on the Underdog story earlier on. Let me just bring it up so I can remember it now. Oh my god, let's see. It's great listening. I've searched the wrong thing twice now because hashtag every time I type in UN, unhas decoradas comes up as a
Oh.
possible search.
Okay.
Okay, where's the story? Let's see. So it says, fucking hell. Here we go. Let the 2023 campaign begin. Underdogs Athletics, and it's wrapped around saying 2023 team coming soon is the tag underneath. And I suppose, so you told me the other day that there's going to be that you're going to enter a team, and I suppose I just, if I don't know, played dumb and pretended that you weren't at the games, and I sent you about 5 messages like immediately afterwards because my brain was like vomiting into my mouth of like, I wonder, is it this person? You don't have to name the people, but did you read that message where I named the 4 people?
I don't remember. What did you say?
I said, oh, maybe you don't want me to say it. No, I won't say it. I thought Alison, and I thought him, like her fella.
Ali, Ali would probably go individual, I would think.
Okay.
Ralph definitely wants to go team. Mitch wants to go team.
Yeah, I thought Mitch as well.
And then they want to bring a couple other people. I don't think we know yet who on that, but I we're trying to figure that out. For those
I just thought
guys.
Ali with her couple of demo team years might be like, you know what, it's actually kind of nice being part of a group.
I mean, if she wants to, obviously. Ali always just seems to always want to go individual. So if she wants to go individual, I'm not going to.
You see, selfish. That's why.
I'm not going to say no. I mean, I'm not going to say, hey, dude, it's her career. She's do what she wants, and I'm going to fight my ass off to try to help her do whatever she wants on whether it's team or indie. I think she'd be a great team athlete. She's just so solid across the board, But then I think we might have a couple teams. I think it's possible. I think we might have a few teams next year.
Okay.
I would think we could have 2, maybe probably 2 teams next year. That would probably be realistic. Maybe 3, 2 or 3.
So I was on your website earlier on, and it said athletes, and when you click in, there's like pictures of athletes, and there's a couple of like notable people missing, but Tola is still there. So he popped into my head then of like, oh, maybe the Iceland, maybe like Vegas might seem nice and he might move back.
I haven't heard anything. Tola's always welcome back. I mean, yeah. Tola. I love Tola. Tola went. When Tola talked to me about his opportunity in Iceland, I was like, "You got to fucking go to Iceland. Are you kidding me? Like, you got to go." But that wasn't like you got to go and you have to stay forever. He's welcome to come back. I don't know what his plans are. I don't know whether they're planning on running it back and doing a team again. I would venture to say that a lot of what we're doing hinges on Carrie's decision. If Carrie wants to go team next year, she's talked about the possibility of going team next year. But again, I would never pressure Carrie into making a decision or telling me like, I need to know now. She'll let me know when she's ready, but prior to the game, she said, maybe, she said, she's thinking about possibly coming back and going team next year. But
when you hear her say that, are you like, okay, 60-40, 70-30, like
no,
what?
I haven't done that. No.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
Does maybe for Carrie generally mean yes, or does it generally?
I think she's leaning. I don't think she would have said a word if she wasn't leaning that way. But maybe she went to the games.
It can't be easy as well because she competed for so long, and then I know she took a good bit of time away from the gym after she retired. Like, I know she wasn't around a bit, and then she kind of started dipping her toe back in, and then I know she was helping you guys out with the say like mental coaching side of things and stuff, and just being a general counsel, I guess. But it can't be easy being around Alex and being around Matt and being and seeing everyone getting ready, and it's something that you did for like the guts of 10 years to suddenly be like, oh, I actually don't care about this anymore. Like, it just doesn't work like that.
And the fact that she's still
beating Ricky Garard in workouts.
I was still probably the best in the gym. So like, Yeah, I think she's a competitor, man. She's been a competitor her whole life. I think it's also something that she could say, "Hey, I'd love to go team and try to win the CrossFit Games." You know, why not? Like it'll just, just kind of another added level to my legacy, right? Like, and personally, like selfishly, I would love that too. This was a big year. I mean, for me, in the sense that, like, I have goals too, and I'm not like patting myself on the back here, but like, it's a really great accomplishment. Like, I'm very proud of the fact that I've now been able to get a male and a female on the podium. I'd love to be. I have a team. The best team finish that I ever had was 4th, and that's like kissing your sister coming in 4th. You know what I mean? It fucking sucks. So like, I would love to be able to get that too. If I could get a team on the podium and I have a male, a female team on the podium, that puts you in rarefied air. I don't know. I think it's only, I think it's maybe only one person to ever do that.
And you've had an adaptive athlete on the podium, and they were in the games, so you would definitely be on top of that, whoever that was.
So yeah, I think as a coach, you start to think about legacy as well, and this was obviously a big year for me, and it's fun to look at those things and say, hey, eventually when I walk away, like, you want to be able to be proud of your career and stuff, and
okay,
so it's pretty cool. Yeah.
So Carrie Pierce on Underdogs team for 2023. Okay,
possibly.
I'm only kidding.
We'll see.
So you mentioned walking away there, and I was actually curious, like, because when we spoke the other day, you were kind of saying that, if the stable increases, so too will the coaching team, because you can't, it's just not manageable. Is coaching something that you always want to do, or do you think a time will come when you're like, okay, I'm going to own Underdogs and be in the Bahamas, and then you guys can run it from here?
Yeah, that's coming. That's coming.
Like
I think it's
sooner rather than later. Or?
Probably, yeah. I think so. Another 3 to 5 years. I think
that's so. Like, I thought of that question earlier on, and I was like, he's definitely going to say, like, no, I'm going to run myself into the ground coaching. Like, I really expected that.
I can't keep going like this. I want to be around for my kids and stuff later. My kids are young. I'm 47 years old, which is fucking ridiculous to say, but 47 years old, and I got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, right? The way that like traveling for 4 weeks for semifinals, and what I do to my body during that time, and then the games, and then Dubai, and then the road, and this and that, and I can't keep doing that. I can't. I don't think I got that in me for another 10 years. No way. I got it in me for another couple of years. And because I'm so obsessed about it, you know what I mean? Like, I'm nuts,
Well, is it not then? Will you not end up just like, say, like Carrie walking away, and then be like, oh, maybe, like, if you're that obsessed with it and you walk away, surely there's only a matter of time before you're like, oh, fuck it. Like,
I think I'll stay in the sport. I think I'll stay in the sport. I think that it would be a natural progression for me to go from what I'm doing now into broadcast.
Yeah.
I think that would be what I would want to do. I would want to take a step back.
That kind of color commentary role, like the kind of, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, you're playing the long game with Chase, bringing Chase on, programming teams. And then when you retire, you're like, hey, remember that team thing? Can I borrow your mic? That's clever.
I got a good relationship with all those guys, and
yeah, I know.
Got a good relationship with Mike Roth, who kind of runs the whole thing. And
yeah, well, I think it's something that people listen out for is a different. Like when Hinshaw comes on, like Chase is great and Sean is great. The commentary is great. But I think when Hinshaw comes on, you kind of sit up a bit and you're kind of like, okay, it's something you could get some nuggets, like, whereas, hearing someone say about pacing, you're kind of like, yeah, okay. And then when it's an actual, a coach with skin in the game kind of thing. You're kind of like, all right, like like hearing Hinshaw say like, "Oh, Haley Adams is a 15-minute 5K." I was like, what the fuck? Like, like how is that possible? But like, like things like that, like really stand out from memory in the broadcast. Couldn't tell you fuck all what anyone else said, but things that he said really stood out, like, because it kind of hits different, I suppose.
And I also think like I've been in it a long fucking time, and I've experienced, coached a lot of athletes, and then so I think it's people are interested. Plus, I've been known to say some, some kind of.
Yeah, you won't be able to curse there. You won't be able to swear there.
No, I'm gonna have to.
You could do the after 11 roundup or something.
That's what I would probably.
That was fucking shit. Yeah,
that was fucking terrible.
Okay, I asked you the last time or 2 times ago when you were on, or no, actually the first time you were on. This is your 4th time, I think.
Really?
I think so.
Is that a record?
No. As a coach, yes.
Is it? Okay, cool.
Yeah, as a coach, it is. I think you've been on. I think this is your 4th time. 1, 2. Okay. Then the coach is one in this one. Yeah, I think it's 4. But the first time you were on, I asked you a question that actually turned out to be quite poignant. I asked, "Who's the athlete that you most like to work with?" And you said Ricky Garard. And I'm gonna have that put on my headstone as like my biggest piece of involvement in the CrossFit landscape. Don't take it away from me. So is there someone out there now that you'd be like, "Oh yeah, I could do a job with that person"?
I can't say. See, Ricky didn't have a coach, so I'm not gonna. Like he was, so I could say it.
Benny.
No, there is definitely people that I would want to coach, but I don't want to say that because.
What would you do then? What would you do if, say, I'm with CompTrain?
Yeah.
Just watching your face, see if you reacted there. I'm with CompTrain and I decide I'm leaving. And I'm going, what?
Oh man, you're funny. Yeah, listen.
How do you react to me? Say, like, if I go to you and say, "Hey, my current setup isn't working. I don't like New England. Vegas looks nice," and then
I would say, "Go handle your business. Go handle. You take care of it on your end, and then until that's taken care of, then I will not. No.
Okay. All right.
But if someone is interested and they're unhappy where they are, of course I'm here that people can reach out to me.
Yeah.
But I'm
Justin at underdogsathletics.com.
I mean, listen, there are athletes that are part of every, that are part of every camp that I look at and I'm like, wow, that person would be so cool to work with. But I also really get along with the majority of camps,
That was a strange way to phrase that. Majority
of
camp.
I do.
The use of the word majority seemed poignant there.
Well, listen, I mean, no comments.
Okay. I think I've covered. Is Ricky moving to Vegas?
Probably for a period of time. Yeah. I think he'll come for maybe like 4 or 5 months.
Like October to quarter or to semis kind of, or December to semis or something. Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
And have you talked about off season? Have you talked about like, do you want to do Dubai? Like, has any of that kind of stuff happened yet, or no? Have you talked to any of your athletes about that kind of stuff? The ones that weren't at the game?
I think he's gonna do. No, not really. I think he's gonna do Rogue, and then I think he'll probably do Wadapalooza. I don't know that Dubai's. I think that's a lot. Well, we'll see. But no, I need to
Dubai's not a CrossFit event anymore, I heard.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Oh, I didn't say who told me, so it's fine. But I heard that it's not a CrossFit event anymore officially, that they've cut ties.
Interesting.
I guess they just don't need it. I think there's a lot of interference when you are one. And I think they're just like, fuck it, we're okay.
Gotcha. That would make sense. No, I don't know. I'm curious to talk to people and see what they want to do. Kyra's going to Madrid. That's pretty much all I know right now. I'm sure Matt will want to do some things.
Filthy. Come to Filthy.
I would love to. I haven't spoken to them. They didn't call me this year. Last year we had a whole thing.
Oh yeah.
They were courting me last year, and this year I haven't heard from them. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean,
think
I
it's-
like them. They're really good people.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure, whether or not
Wait.
that's going to happen.
But you can stay here if you come.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. I mean, eventually we got to get you to the games, man.
Yeah, well, genuinely, like I was looking at hotels there about 20 minutes before we came on for next year.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, though, isn't it? It's like
Yeah, but it's actually not as ridiculous as it was a week ago. So I was like, what the fuck is going on? Because like the cheapest room I could find was like $5,000 for a week. And I was like, what is going on? And then someone was like, oh no, I work in hospitality and they just don't have the days up yet. That's why it's so expensive.
Okay.
So now it's actually much more reasonable now, but
okay.
I can't check flight prices yet. So we'll see, hopefully. Okay. Well, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you
My pleasure.
digging me out of a hole and
dude, always,
getting me some content.
I'm here for you, bro.